Have you ever been building a car and you said to yourself, I want to make it harder on myself in every possible way, for no other reason than because it looks cool? Well, dare I say, I have the solution for you, and it is in this wheel box. This is a work wheel box because they stack their wheels when they ship them, and inside of it is a beautiful set of wheels that are going on none other than our very own R34 GTT, which if you haven't been watching that over on the main channel, you should be, or I'm calling FEMA again. We're gonna be unboxing these so that you can take a look and understand just exactly what you're getting, what you're buying, and what sort of pain you can expect to have when you own white wheels. Doesn't matter though, because when they're clean, they're really, really cool. Outside of that, not cool. But for the very brief moment that they're not on the car, that's gonna be the best looking wheels we've ever thrown on a car in our entire life. Now, in case you're wondering, Alex, what is it with you and Dakota and work wheels? Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be really honest with you. A lot of wheels have climbed in price. They've gotten more expensive. With work wheels, on the other hand, their price increases actually haven't been that much in recent years, which has made their one-piece lineup of wheels get more and more competitively priced, whereas everything that's made in China, or typically in Taiwan or Thailand, has continued to increase in price. So while these are, I would consider, a very expensive wheel option, they're actually getting more competitive as the years have gone on because work hasn't increased their price as much. You're still gonna be paying a good chunk of change on these wheels depending on the size and depending on the color that you get, but they're actually going to be a pretty awesome looking wheel. This specific set, we went with a square setup for the GTT because we don't got the big daddy flares like the GTR, okay? So we gotta run a square setup. 18.9.5 plus 30, 5x114.3. When we unbox this, you're gonna see all the good stuff from work come in the box. You're gonna wanna hold on to this. Honestly, it does help both with just credibility and if you're going to sell the wheels. I've talked about how wheels are packaged in the past. Let me explain a little bit how these ones are packaged. So, work, when they double stack, which does happen, doesn't actually put two boxes in a single box and then stack. You're actually seeing the wheels themselves are stacked on top of each other. So they come like this. They come shrink wrap taped and then cover taped, but they don't actually have a cover over this. And then for the back, you're gonna see this cardboard. I wanna explain something really quick if you are on the cusp of buying work wheels. This is something Work Wheels does, and we've seen it before in the past. This right here. You notice a very small imperfection, black, and actually if you look really close, you're gonna see a little bit of imperfection on the back of this wheel. That's because that's how Work ships their wheels. Right, wrong, or indifferent, my personal opinion is that it's wrong because it's not coming to you perfect, but the fact of the matter is when they double stack, a lot of times you're gonna see that small little imperfection come because what happens is this cardboard right here does this over and over and over for thousands of miles, over and until finally you take it off and then you get your wheel and then you message us and you're really upset because you're like, my wheel, the part of the wheel that nobody sees ever has a slight imperfection, damn it. And the answer is, unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, that's Work's fault. So with that being said, we do try to check it, we do try to clean it up the best as we can, but if you're wondering why that exists, now you know from here over at martiniworks.com, which if you are looking for work wheels or other wheels or wheel entire packages, I would hope that you're getting them from martiniworks.com because we actually know what we're talking about because we've done this for a long time and we have it all on our website. On the back, you're gonna see the stamping, 18.9.5 plus 30, 73.3 for that center bore. You're also gonna see the color, the code, the tag as well, all the nice stuff that you're gonna wanna see. On the back of the Kiwami, you're gonna see that they shaved as much as they could. We didn't go with a super wide wheel. 18.9.5 plus 30, I would argue, is probably right in the middle in terms of aggressiveness. I actually think we went with a middle taper, which I'll explain when we show you the front. So you're gonna see that they shaved this out here. You got the bullet holes here, whether that's for weight reduction is entirely up to you. I think it is a little bit, plus I also think it's a nice design element. And you got all that nice brake clearance right here, which is gonna be very important for later in life. Let's take this off so I can show you the front. I feel like I'm opening this the absolute worst way possible. Don't worry, We'll get there together. All right, are you guys ready? Because I'm ready. But ready, 3, 2, 1. Woo! It's already dirty. It's already dirty. Where are the center caps? I don't know. Where are the center caps? So just so everybody knows, the Work Emotion CR Kiwami, it's a one-piece wheel. If you go out to Work's website, there is a bunch of PDFs that don't really make a lot of sense to pretty much anyone. So let me break it down for you. Depending on the diameter and the width, the Work CR Kiwami will get made in different tapers. Taper is the equivalent of concavity, or that profile face. With the CR Kiwami, you're gonna get a middle taper, deep taper, or ultra deep taper, depending on the size of the wheel. So with something as small as a 16 by 5.5 or 6.5, you're only gonna get a semi-taper, which is a more flatter design. But if you get all the way up to their wildest size on this, which is a 19 by 10.5 plus 12, you can get this in an ultra deep taper. So some of the most common sizes that you're gonna see on this wheel specifically are going to be the 17.7 up to 9. You also get an 18 by 7.5 all the way up to an 18 by 10.5. And then you also have a 19 by 8.5 up to a 19 by 10.5. Offsets pretty much all across the board, up to plus 53 and all the way down to 15, which means pretty much the Work CR Kiwami is gonna be built for any tuner car, plus a little bit of that Euro crowd, plus a little bit of that sport compact crowd. But even though you're spending probably $2,200, I would say, all in, $1,900, $2,500 all in, depending on the color. You still don't get center caps. Why this is a thing, again, I will never understand quite at all, because they're a very successful company that sells an absolute shit ton of Work wheels. So I feel like center caps should always be free. They're not, they are expensive as well, but I will say this, they're totally worth it. We always tell our customers when they pick up a set of Works, when they pick up a set of Volks, whether they pick up a set of any wheels, that if they don't come with center caps, they should get them, because it is the last finishing touch that you gotta have on your wheels. Unless you're going to the racetrack, in which case you need to pop those out because the heat will pop them out for you. There you go, just like that. Made of plastic, nothing too crazy, but an absolute killer looking center cap. I love the Emotion logo and then the Work below it. I think it looks insane. I'm gonna pop this in before Dakota looks up because I'm gonna put it where I want to. Oh yeah, ready? Look at that. CR Kiwami is an iconically good looking wheel. Nobody, I think, can argue that the Kiwami is just a great looking wheel. You've got essentially what looks like a double 5-spoke that you're gonna see, but there's some really small details that make the CR Kiwami really stand out and why people, I think, like it so much. Number one, if you look on the outside of the lip, you're gonna see that recession that's in between the actual lip of the wheel and then the start of the spoke design. That was designed for impact rigidity. Essentially what happens if you have an impact out here, this divot is gonna cause a lot of strength to actually uphold any sort of damage that could come into the spoke, preventing any sort of snapping of the spoke or things that you see on the internet. You'll see a lot of people bang these things up. They do just fine. Work is not the only one that does something like this, but if you have seen a real wheel that kind of looks like it shouldn't be holding air, but it is, a lot of times it's because of this design right here. Another small thing that you're gonna see, if you look on the top, you're gonna notice that each spoke actually bends almost outwards past the face, like the flat face of the wheel, and then comes down. So essentially what you're getting is a convex into a concave design. That sort of spoke design is what's gonna give you that insanely good brake clearance, particularly on cars that need it. If you're running an endless brake, BBS, Akebono, anything in between, you're pretty much gonna be able to run it with these wheels, which is awesome because if you don't have that clearance, it always is a big stinker to throw them on and realize that you have issues. Another thing you're gonna notice on the spokes, you got a nice kind of ball milling here on the spoke that's gonna give it a thinner look here. You're also gonna see on the inside, there's a very slight design element on the inside here to thin out that spoke. Just gives it a little bit of depth, which I think looks absolutely killer. For the actual lug mounting locations, it's cut into that spoke design as well. Just gives it a little bit of that intricate design. And then we have debossed logo for Made in Japan, VIA, 700 kg, JWL, and the Work Emotion on top. If you're wondering why you like this wheel, it's probably because of one of those things that I just mentioned. It is also a really just damn good looking wheel. For the amount of sizes that the Work Emotions CR Kiwami comes in, it is really impressive with how they make do with the faces. This is usually why you're paying a little bit more. A lot of times on one-piece wheels, there's only gonna be one mold to cater to something like an 18 by 8.5 all the way to an 18 by 10.5. The reason that they can get a wider wheel is because they flow form the barrel out, but then they keep this back pad chunk really big. So then that way they can shave down the back pad to get you the offset you need. With Work, a lot of times they're only giving you a couple different offset options, and then they're changing to an entirely different mold if you want something a little bit more aggressive. So they pay a lot of attention to the details of that, which is why every Kiwami can look a little bit different, but it always looks like it's maximized for the wheel size that you're buying. That's why you're spending a little bit more money. You're also spending a little bit more money because it's made in Japan. Import fees are gonna cost you a little bit more, and Work prides themselves on making a pretty darn good wheel. These are flow form. They use Work flow forming technology. You've probably heard that in the past. They roll this barrel out to a specific weight, keeps the actual barrel very thin. Typically you want to see anything around 3.5 millimeters or less would be ideal for a good properly done or engineered rotary forged wheel. Another clear sign, you can see those little lines right there. It's a pretty good determinant to say the block of metal they started with was right here, and then they rolled it out all the way out to here. So these are just little things that you start to notice as you review so many wheels. Work does a great job with it. Last but not least, we do have to weigh it. This right here we said is an 18 by 9.5 plus 30, and it is gonna be coming in at 23 pounds. So for an 18 9.5, definitely not bad for the amount of spokes that you're getting and for the fact that they could only take off that much on the back pad. 23 pounds ain't too bad. Anything between 22 to I would say 23.8 is where I would want to stay around, which means this checks the bill. But if you're interested or you have questions about the old CR Kiwami one piece or other wheels, let us know over at martiniworks.com. You're working with people that actually give a crap, and we're very knowledgeable in the aftermarket wheel space. Of course, you can drop a comment below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see these wheels on the GTT, go check it out over at Martini Works, the main YouTube channel, because we're gonna be drifting, drag racing, track racing, and taking it to tiny little towns over the next couple months, and we'd love for you to come along with us. I'm Alex Martini. We'll see you on the next one.